Welcome back to another deep dive. Today we are we're tuning our instruments and really stepping into this world where raw, unadulterated vocal talent just completely collides head-on with high-stakes production strategy.
Yeah, it's a massive collision.
It really is. We are looking at a show that's currently taking the Korean entertainment world by storm. It's this brilliant blend of the heartwarming journey of an underdog mixed with the very cold, very calculating business of making a #1 record. We are, of course, talking about famous singers need hit songs.
Right. And before we even get into the mechanics of the show or the music or, the psychology of it all, we really have to address the elephant in the room.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
A very large, very frustrating elephant for a significant portion of our global audience.
Absolutely. We need to start with a sincere apology and a bit of a public service announcement for you all. If you are listening to this deep dive from the Philippines, or honestly really anywhere outside of Korea right now, you might be frantically searching your Netflix queue.
Refreshing the page.
Yeah, refreshing the page and just coming up completely empty.
And that is because, as of this recording, Famous Singers Need Hit Songs is currently locked to Netflix Korea.
It's brutal.
It is. We know there's a massive fan base out there, particularly for Gwyn Dorado, who are just dying to see this. I mean, we see the tweets, we see the forum posts every day.
It's genuinely painful to watch. We see you, we hear you, and we know you're missing out on seeing your girl Gwyn absolutely crush it. So consider this deep dive your proxy, really.
Exactly.
Consider us your eyes and ears on the ground. We are going to break down everything today. The vibes, the strategy, the music, the cultural nuance, so you are completely ready when it finally drops globally.
We're going to be your translators. And not just of the language, but of the context, which is so important here. We'll walk you through the psychology of the games, the profiles of these legendary producers, and the strategic landscape of the music industry that this show exposes.
Right. So let's set the stage. The premise here is fascinating because it takes the top 6 finalists from a show called Sing Again 4, which, by the way, is a brutal competition in its own right.
Incredibly brutal.
Yeah, and it flips the script entirely. They aren't competing for a trophy anymore.
No, the trophy is already on the shelf. The confetti has been swept up. This is about something much, much harder to get. They are competing for a career. They're competing for a hit song.
And that transition is jarring to watch.
Yeah.
The show opens in what we've been calling the sterile boardroom.
Yeah, the boardroom scene.
He's got these singers,
Yeah.
right? And they've just come off this huge high adrenaline competition. And they're sitting there stiff, very respectful, hands clasped in their laps. They get briefed by an executive and they drop the bomb on them. They say, you're going to be on Netflix.
And you can see the shift immediately in their faces. The pupils dilate, hands cover their mouths. It's that sudden realization of, oh my God, we actually made it. Right. But then almost instantly, the reality sets in. Yeah. Fame is not enough.
Exactly. And this is where the show gets really smart, I think. It introduces this concept of tenure. There's this one moment where Kyuhyun, who is a total legend, by the way, from Super Junior.
A man who has literally seen every single side of this industry.
Yeah. And he gives them this advice that honestly gave me chills.
Yeah.
He looks at them and says, you have to work when you can, because a time will come when you simply can't.
And that right there is the crux of the entire series. It's the stark difference between being a competition winner and being a working artist. Kyuhyun is telling them that momentum is finite, it's a resource, and it burns up very quickly. You can be famous for a month because you won a variety show, but if you don't have a hit song, a piece of music that the public actually consumes in their daily lives, you disappear.
You just vanish.
Yeah, it's not just about fame, it's about survival in the industry.
It's so heavy. It really frames the stakes beautifully. It's not, oh, I want to be a star. It's, I want to exist. But the show handles it by throwing them into the most chaotic environment possible right after that. We go from that cold boardroom to the cold reality of Hongdae eventually. But in between, we have this incredible segment, the retreat.
The MTs.
Yes, the membership training. And that's where we're going to spend the first part of our dive today. But before we get there, let's define our roles for this deep dive. I'm going to be acting as your color commentator. I'm watching for the emotional arcs, the camaraderie, the psychological toll of these variety games. I really want to see how these artists feel.
And I will be playing the role of the analyst. I'm tracking what I like to call the win score.
Okay, the win score. Let's unpack that for a second.
Right, so it's a metric I use to predict the probability of a song actually becoming a hit. It's based on 3 main factors.
Yeah.
First is domestic traction. That's how much the Korean public likes you. And that's not just your voice, but your personality on screen, your general likability.
Right. Variety skills.
Exactly. Second is hit factor. This is the catchy hook potential, the pure commercial viability of the music itself. And third is uniqueness. What actually makes you stand out in a market that is just completely flooded with talent?
Makes sense.
So throughout our discussion, I'll be assigning these theoretical win scores to the singers and the producers to see who is actually set up to win the war, not just the battle.
I love it. Mathematics meets melodies.
Wow.
Okay, let's get into section 1, the psychology of the MT.
So MP stands for membership training. It is an absolute staple of Korean culture. Universities do it, corporations do it. It's essentially a mandatory retreat designed to force group cohesion.
Force being the operative word there.
Well, yeah. Sometimes it's very forced, but it's really about breaking down social barriers rapidly. And the vibe shift here is drastic. We mentioned that boardroom posture earlier, right? Rigid, respectful. Yeah. But once they get on that bus and eventually to the cabin, the posture changes completely. It becomes this chaotic bus energy. People are bouncing, leaning on each other. There's physical contact.
And the lubricant for this social friction is traditionally the variety games. But the real motivator here isn't just about bonding with your castmates. It's the prize.
Oh, the 1++ Hanwoo?
Premium Korean beef. For our listeners who haven't experienced this or maybe aren't familiar with the specific meat boiling system in Korea, you really cannot overstate the power of Hanwoo.
No, you can't. You have to understand, it's not just a good steak.
Right.
It is a profound cultural symbol. 1++ Hanwoo is the absolute highest grade you can get. It's incredibly expensive, beautifully marbled. In Korea, gifting someone Hanwoo is a massive sign of respect. Eating it together is a celebration.
It's status, it's wealth, it's love, honestly.
It is the ultimate cultural motivator. I don't care how famous they are. If you want to see a Korean celebrity completely lose their composure, you put a plate of raw, marbled Hanwoo in front of them and tell them they might not get to eat it.
It's so true.
It forces hyper-competitiveness in a way that cash simply doesn't. Cash feels transactional, right? Hanwoo feels like a trophy that you get to grill and eat.
So they split into teams and they launch into these games. And I want to talk about the first game type because it is a masterclass in psychological warfare. It's called 당연하지, or of course.
Oh, this is a classic. It's straight from the early 2000s variety era. It was specifically popularized by an old show called X-Man.
Right.
The rules are incredibly simple but brutal. You stand face to face with your opponent. They make a statement about you. It can be an insult, a wild lie, a shocking revelation, just anything. And you must agree to it by yelling, of course, immediately. If you hesitate, if you get visibly angry, or if you deny it, you lose the round.
It's a pure test of mental fortitude. You have to completely mask your reaction. You have to somehow dissociate your ego from the words being thrown at your face.
Yeah.
And the strategy here is wild.
It really is. The entire goal is to induce a loss of composure. You're constantly probing, looking for the weak point in the armor. You want to flesh them out emotionally.
And Gwyn Dorado, oh man, when you look at how she approaches this, she finds the weak point.
She really does. And this is interesting from an analytical standpoint because Gwyn is the foreigner in the group, right? There's usually this built-in assumption that the non-native speaker will be at a massive disadvantage in a fast-paced verbal sparring game.
Right. You'd expect her to go for something simple because of the language barrier. Like, you know, you're ugly or you sing bad.
Which would be a weak move. It's too subjective. It's playground stuff. It doesn't fluster a professional.
Exactly. But she's facing off against someone like Curie. Now, Curie is a veteran. She's poised. She has this very elegant, unbothered aura. And Gwyn just looks her dead in the eye. And she doesn't insult her at all.
No. She drops a PR bomb.
She throws out this wild accusation. She says, you know you're dating Gong-yu, right?
It is brilliant strategy. For context, for those who don't know, Gong-yu is an absolute A-list actor.
The A-list.
He is Goblin. He is Train to Busan. He is Squid Game. He is completely untouchable. By accusing Curie of dating him, Gwyn isn't insulting her. She's manufacturing a PR crisis in real time.
Exactly. You can just imagine the panic, the eyes going wide.
Yeah.
Because she has to do the calculus in her head right there on the spot.
Yeah.
If I say, of course, to win the game, do I start a viral rumor that ends my career?
Yeah.
But if I say no, I lose the beef for my entire team.
It was a perfect trap. She created a lose-lose scenario, and it really highlights the win score metric of domestic traction for Gwyn.
How so?
Well, it shows the audience that she fundamentally understands the culture. She knows exactly who Gong-yu is, she knows the heavy weight of a dating scandal in the K-pop industry, and she knows how to weaponize that knowledge for comedy. That boosts her public stock significantly.
It makes her look sharp. It makes her look culturally fluent rather than just a guest.
Exactly. But then, there is the flip side to variety games. Sometimes you just get beaten down. There's this concept of being the neighborhood drum.
Ah, dongnabuk.
Yes, dongbuk. It's a great idiom. It refers to the village drum that just hangs in the public square because it belongs to everyone. Literally, anyone who walks by takes a swing and hits it.
So it implies being the easy target, the punching bag of the group.
Right. But here is the secret of Korean variety shows. Being the neighborhood drum is actually a fantastic thing for your career.
Because of the screen time.
Exactly. It means you're getting focused on. It means the other cast members, the veterans, feel comfortable enough with you to tease you on camera.
That's a really great point. Losing the game can actually mean winning the screen time war.
Precisely. If they ignore you, you're dead in the edit. If they're constantly hitting you, you're the star. It builds empathy with the audience. We all love a lovable loser who takes it on the chin.
Okay, let's move to the second type of game, which is honestly physically painful to watch, but always hilarious. Shout in silence, or the whisper challenge.
This one is pure sensory deprivation. You have these huge noise-canceling headphones on, blasting extremely loud music, and you have to guess complicated words solely by lip-reading your teammate.
The agony on their faces is real. You see them touching their headphones constantly, trying to adjust them.
That's actually a documented self-soothing gesture. When you remove auditory feedback, human beings get very, very anxious. Yeah, we rely heavily on hearing our own voices to regulate our emotional state and our volume. When that's taken away, you see genuine physical distress. They feel completely isolated even though they are standing 2 feet away from their friend.
But that distress leads to absolute comedy gold.
We have to talk about the linguistic traps here, things like the mushroom incident. This is one of those puns that might totally fly over the head of a non-Korean speaker, so we need to unpack why this game is so treacherous.
Right, so imagine a teammate is trying to describe a mushroom.
Okay.
But the clues they give are, let's say, bold. They mouth the word yahan, which means sexy or erotic, and then the word food.
Sexy food, you got it.
And the guesser, totally confident, screams besut, which means mushroom.
And the whole room just loses their minds.
Because there is a very famous, very old Korean dad joke. What is the sexiest vegetable? A mushroom.
Why?
Because beosut sounds almost exactly identical to beoseo.
Which means?
It's the command form of the verb to take off or undress. So they basically shouted a dirty joke or a literal command to strip on national television at the top of their lungs.
Precisely. And they do it with the total unearned confidence of someone who cannot hear their own volume. It's a moment of accidental genius that completely breaks the tension in the room.
And then we have the English loan word traps.
Yeah.
Like the panty debacle.
Wow, another brutal linguistic trap. Imagine a teammate is trying to say the word band, pronounced bandu in Korean. But when you are lip reading bandu, the physical shape of the mouth is virtually indistinguishable. Yes, so you have these highly trained, serious artists who desperately want to be respected for their vocal prowess, just aggressively screaming panty at each other, while the legendary judges are just dying of laughter on the floor.
It's incredible.
And again, from an analytical view, this builds camaraderie so fast, you simply cannot take yourself too seriously after you've screamed panty at your esteemed colleague for 5 minutes straight.
It humanizes them so much. It reminds the audience that they are people first and artists second. And that really leads us to the final game of this MT section.
Yeah.
The 1 second Norabang or the 1 second karaoke challenge.
Now this is where the atmosphere shifts dramatically again. We move away from the clinical brightness of the variety games where there is nowhere to hide your embarrassment over to the sheer euphoria of performance.
Right. The lights dim, the disco ball starts spinning.
The mood changes entirely.
Yeah.
And this game is where we see the deployment of what I call the Psy cheat code.
The Psy cheat code. I love this theory.
In Korean karaoke culture, picking a song is a highly strategic decision. If you pick a slow ballad, you're showing off. You're demanding the room stops to say, listen to my technique.
Right, which can bring the mood down.
Exactly. It can be seen as arrogant or just boring if the energy in the room is high. But if you manage to snag a Psy song, specifically something like Entertainer or Champion, you are forcing a cultural reflex.
It's basically mandatory participation.
It absolutely is. When that iconic beat drops, everyone in the room, regardless of which team they are on or how tired they are, must stand up and dance. It is involuntary. It is literally conditioned into the culture. A smart player doesn't just sing the song. They weaponize the energy of the entire room to secure the vibe.
They unify the room under their lead.
They do. And you can contrast that with the physical dominance of whichever team is winning. If you watch the body language during these Norabang sessions, the winning team physically occupies the center of the room.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they're rushing the camera, they're doing synchronized choreography. Meanwhile, the losing team literally collapses inward. They cross their arms, they lean back into the sofa, they stop stepping forward into the light.
It's amazing how much of the story is told just through posture before the score is even tallied. They surrender physically, long before the game actually ends.
Absolutely. The body doesn't lie, even when the vocals are perfect.
So that's the MT in a nutshell. They've bonded. They've thoroughly embarrassed themselves. They've eaten the beef well. Half of them have. Now we pivot to the real meat of the show. The recess is over.
The prediction game.
Yes. This is where the show really teases us as viewers. We get these little clips, these environmental clues about which legendary producers are waiting for them in the city. And this is where your analyst hat needs to come on tight. We need to profile these producers based on the visual evidence we've seen.
Right. The show gives us these unique environments, and we have to deduce the musical identity from them. And this is crucial because in this industry, the environment directly reflects the producer's entire philosophy.
Let's start with prediction number 1. The environment is a junkyard. It's rustic. It's messy. There are piles of scrap metal and old cars. Who fits a junkyard vibe?
The primary prediction here is Car the Garden.
Okay, explain that one. Why does a literal junkyard equal Car the Garden?
So Car the Garden is known for this very specific vintage indie rock sound. His aesthetic isn't polished pop. It's not shiny. It's gritty. It's analog. The junkyard isn't trash in this context. It's actually a visual metaphor for analog imperfection.
I see.
He prefers the raw sound of a scratchy, blown-out guitar amp over a perfectly synthesized, quantized beat. He likes things that feel lived in and rough around the edges. The visual of the junkyard matches the actual texture of his voice. It's rasp, it's rock, it's real.
I love that phrase, analog imperfection.
Mm.
Okay, prediction number 2. The clue is auditory this time. The cast yells "Sunsenim," which means teacher, with a lot of warmth and familiarity.
This points almost certainly to Yoon Jong-shin,
The Ballad King himself.
the Ballad King and the CEO of Mystic Story. In the strict Korean entertainment hierarchy, Yoon Jong-shin is the teacher. He's the elder statesman of the industry. Literally everyone younger defaults to calling him that out of respect.
But musically, what does he represent for these singers?
He is the absolute master of the karaoke ballad. If you want a song that people will scream sing after 3 bottles of soju at 2 a.m., you go to Yoon Jong-shin.
Right.
He deeply understands the everyman's heartbreak. He is the safest bet for a chart topper because he writes specifically for the masses to sing along to.
Okay, moving to prediction number 3. The clue here is a crazy idea to meet up at a quiet Buddhist temple in the mountains. Who on earth sends a pop singer to a temple to record a hit?
That would be Shin-ae.
Shin-ae.
Yes. She is what I like to call the bespoke tailor of producers. She produced Hwasa's massive hit, I Love My Body. Her style is very organic, very earthy, retro soul.
So the temple location represents,
Yeah.
what, healing?
Exactly that. She isn't looking for a flawless technical performance. She's looking for the artist's soul. She wants to strip away all the idle artifice. A temple is the perfect environment to completely reset a singer's anxious mindset and help them find their natural, unforced voice. She wants to heal the artist first, so the artist's song can then heal the listener.
That makes total sense. Okay, prediction number 4. The clue is instant visual recognition and just pure laughter. The cast walks in, sees him, and immediately bursts out smiling and laughing.
That has to be Kunst.
The guy with the big ears.
Yeah, he's incredibly famous for his unique look and his massive scene-stealing presence on variety shows like I Live Alone. Even if you don't actively listen to his music, you know his face and you like him. He feels like a funny friend.
And what about his music?
He produces very trendy, highly spatial hip-hop and R&B. He's the cool, funny older brother figure. He represents the current trend. If you work with Kunst, you are guaranteed to get something current, something that sounds stylish in a cafe or a club.
And finally, prediction number 5. We have the moody studio. Very dark lighting, incredibly serious vibes, almost oppressive.
This screams Kim Jong-wan of NEL.
Ah, the architect of mood.
He is a notoriously strict perfectionist. NELL is legendary in Korea for modern rock. His music is ethereal, it's depressing, it's dreamy. He pairs exceptionally well with sorrowful, airy vocals. If you walk into his studio, you better be ready to bleed emotionally into the microphone. It's not a playground in there.
So we have this incredible, diverse roster. You've got the indie grittiness, the ballad teacher, the healing soul, the trendy hip-hop, and the moody rocker.
It's a massive buffet of styles. And that brings us to the most important variable in this entire equation. The variable that the Filipino fans are currently screaming about online.
The Gwyn Dorado factor.
Let's really look at her profile. Gwyn Dorado is the vocal shapeshifter. She comes from what we jokingly call YouTube University.
Right.
Meaning she learned by mimicking the absolute greats online, primarily massive Western divas like Beyonce or Whitney Houston.
But she has this very specific quality, a cultural quality. We call it Hugot.
Hugot, or, more accurately based on the linguistic roots, Hugot. It's a Tagalog term that came up in our source material, and it's absolutely fascinating to analyze. It literally translates to pull out.
To pull out what exactly?
To pull deep, visceral pain out of your chest and drag it into the light for everyone to see. It refers to the visceral Filipino act of emotional singing.
It's not polite pain.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, I'm sad and I'm crying prettily while looking out a rainy window.
No, not at all. It is raw, unvarnished, ugly cry emotion. It is Birit the Power singing. And that is her ultimate superpower. We saw this completely validated at the dinner that way sick.
Oh my God, that moment destroyed me. Big Ji-young, who is the undisputed queen of OSTs, the woman who knows sad songs better than anyone alive, she looks at Gwyn across the table and says, I saw exactly what you were feeling.
That is the ultimate stamp of approval in this industry.
Yeah.
Big Ji-young is effectively saying, your technique is fine, but your emotional transfer is elite. And that is what raises Gwyn's win score so high. Her domestic traction is already high because she's hilarious on the variety shows Dancing to Psy. But her hit factor comes from that terrifying ability to make a stranger cry.
She has this amazing narrative arc too, right? She starts as the foreigner providing comedic relief. She uses her language barrier as a shield during the games, like, oh, I don't know who Gong-yu is. I don't know the Korean word for panty.
It's a brilliant, charming defense mechanism.
Right.
But by the end of the MT, she completely transitions. She stops being the funny foreigner and solidifies herself as a serious artistic contender who demands a hit song just as much as the veterans do.
And that sets up the true climax of our analysis today, the final producer prediction, the pairing that changes everything.
The Zion.T pivot.
Let's set the scene for the listeners. Gwyn is walking toward her mystery producer, and the main visual clue is that she looks genuinely shocked and a little bit shy.
Now you have to ask, why would she be shy? She wasn't shy with anyone else. She was loud and bouncing off the walls. This reaction suggests someone with an intensely intimidating celebrity aura.
Sunglasses indoors. Very quiet demeanor.
Zion.T, we call him the architect of cool.
Okay, wait. So we have Gwyn Dorado, who is maximalist emotion. She is Hugot, she is loud, she is raw power. And you're theoretically pairing her with Zion.T, who is radical subtraction. He is pure minimalism.
This is what I call the collaboration paradox.
Unpack that for us.
Initially, as an analyst looking at the numbers, I would argue this pairing actually lowers her win score.
Why?
Because Zion.T might cool down her raw heat way too much. If you take a flamethrower and put it inside a freezer, you might just extinguish the flame completely.
Right. You'd think she needs the ballad king, Jong-shin, to just hand her a microphone and let her belt out a high note over an orchestra.
Exactly. The safe bet for her win score would be on Shin-ae going the temple route, go for the healing acoustic vibe. Or Jong-shin go for the karaoke power ballad. Those fit her existing vocal profile perfectly. They would let her do what she already knows how to do.
But Zion.T is the high-risk, high-reward route.
It's the laboratory route. And here is exactly why it could work brilliantly. We call it the anti-drop.
The anti-drop, okay.
Think about a typical EDM pop song or a huge K-pop power ballad. The pre-chorus builds and builds, the tension rises, and then boom, the drop.
Yeah.
Massive orchestral swell, heavy bass, a crazy high note. Zion.T does the exact opposite. He builds all that tension and then He removes everything.
Just silence.
Silence. Maybe a single dry snare hit, a completely dry, unreverbed vocal. He strips the soundscape totally bare.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
If he uses that anti-drop strategy with Gwyn, he won't bury her massive voice in 50 layers of instruments. He will isolate it entirely. He will let the natural cracks and brigginess in her voice ring out in completely empty space.
That is terrifying for a singer.
It is deeply terrifying. There's literally nowhere to hide a mistake. But if she pulls it off, it's haunting. It hits the listener harder than 100 violins playing at once. It forces you to lean in and hold your breath.
And what about lyrically? Because Zion.T isn't exactly known for sweeping "I will love you until the end of time" type lyrics.
No, not at all. He excels at the mundane. His biggest hit, Yangwa Bridge, is literally about his dad being a tired taxi driver. Another hit, Eat, is just about reminding a stressed-out girl to eat an apple because she's working too hard.
It's hyper-specific.
We call this lyrical style jijilum. Yeah, it translates roughly to being pathetic or embarrassingly specific in your emotions.
Oh, wow.
It's that awful feeling of texting your ex at 2 a.m. about a cheap hoodie you left at their apartment. It's not a grand cinematic romance. It's a very small, sad, highly relatable moment.
So the grand strategy is this. Take Gwyn's massive, raw Hugot emotion and force it into a tiny, specific, pathetic lyric surrounded entirely by Zion.T's trademark silence.
Precisely. If they manage to pull that off without her overpowering the track, it's not just a hit song, it's a masterpiece. It maximizes the uniqueness factor of her win score to a perfect 10 out of 10, because it's entirely unexpected from her.
Wow. That actually gives me goosebumps just thinking about the potential of that track. It really is the difference between Zion.T building a bridge for her vocal style or just burning one down.
That is the ultimate question of the show. Can she restrain herself enough? Can she trust him enough to let him strip away all her vocal armor?
And that tension brings us to the end of the episode's narrative arc. We leave the warm amber light of that dinner the sanctuary, where they felt safe and full of Hanwoo.
And we get that dreaded text message. The visuals on screen shift instantly. We go from those warm, out-of-focus bokeh lights directly to the cold, blue, harsh industrial light of the city at night. The battlefield.
It's such a stark, brilliant contrast. It really reminds us, and them, that the empty retreat was just a recess. School is officially back in session.
And the test is starting. No more games.
So here is our final provocative thought for you, the listener, as you wait for this show to drop in your region. We know Gwyn Dorado can make us cry with absolute power. We've seen it on YouTube. We know she can make us laugh with her variety personality. We've seen it in the games. But the real question is, can she make us cry with silence?
The answer lies entirely in whether Zion.T decides to use her voice as a blunt weapon, or if he tries to remake her as an artist entirely. That collaboration paradox is the key to unlocking the whole season.
I genuinely cannot wait to see how this plays out. Hold tight. We will keep you updated on the win scores, the tracks, and the vibes as the season progresses. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Stay curious, everyone.
And we'll see you in the next deep dive.